Okay. This is the monthly meeting of the Board of Directors of the Netarts-Oceanside Sanitary District. This is being recorded. I'll call the meeting to order. And the first item is approval of the agenda. A motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, any questions or discussion? I might add, we were talking about it previously, but Jerry's in Iceland, so I don't expect he will be calling in on his way to Northern Europe. So,
Okay.
yes, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Yes, we have none. Public comments, none. Board questions, comments, or discussion? Sir,
I would just like to say thank you to Dan and his staff for helping us. We've figured out a radio solution for the Emergency Operations Center.
okay,
And I just wanted to make it on record that we really appreciate it. And that is outside the people, that's probably the most important facility we have for seismic survival that's going to be able to communicate. So thank you all for helping.
that's great. So review of the minutes of June 20th, the budget hearing and the regular meeting. It's a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll move to accept the minute.
I'll second.
Discussion.
See anything I wanted to change?
So I know that Jeff, you had to take off for, I think it was a medical thing, but were you, it says that under item 2 that the budget was approved by a vote of 4-0. Had you already taken off?
Oh, well, I think I came back, but
I know you came back.
I don't know.
You left at 5:48 p.m.
Okay, which was,
Yeah, so I marked it in a minute. So he was here for the budget portion of it.
so, okay, so that, should that be 5-0 or?
But you reminded me he wasn't here for the budget meeting prior, so he couldn't vote.
Okay, correct, from the May minute, that's from the May minutes. You are correct, yes. Sorry. All right,
Do the minutes don't reflect that he came back. Did I miss it?
On page 6, right above the executive session, we returned at 6:30.
There it is.
Right underneath E.
Got it.
I'm going to try real hard not to leave anymore because it's just too much trouble.
that's okay.
It is what it is.
All right. If there's no other questions, all in favor of accepting the minutes as written, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next item is item 7, the financial statements for review of all funds. Motion to accept the financial statements.
I'll move to accept the financial statements.
Second that.
Discussion.
I'll just note that It's interesting the way the math works out at the top of the page with the approximately $30,000 over budget in some lines and lots of extra funds in other lines so that it all washes out.
Well, are you on page one?
Yeah,
Yeah, so the adopted budget was the 1,418,000
yeah,
and we received 1,443,000. So you have to remember, we add new customers on throughout the year, things get paid, so.
yeah.
um,
Yep. And then we earned more interest than we.
Yeah, the interest, we didn't expect the interest rates to keep rising in our LTIP like it did, so we make, we didn't anticipate.
Yeah.
John had called me and discussed, so we might as well just, if you have any questions, you guys understand the personnel
Yeah.
down below, why.
Yeah.
So if you look, we didn't go negative in the category. It was still 71,469.
Yeah.
Even though you see all the other red lines above.
Dan, I'm just curious, since we're July, we're about midway to, a little bit more than midway to November. Are we good for cash carryover?
Cash carryover was pretty much what we had anticipated.
Okay.
So this is the first month of the new budget year. So I think we had a little over 200,000 cash carry forward.
Oh, page 8 is our tax code.
Okay, so if you go to page 8,
I just know ours was a little slim at the fire district, and so we're hoping November comes sooner rather than later.
well, you'll see that on the well, that was the adopted budget. We had estimated less than that, but some of the projects didn't finish up in the last fiscal year.
Okay.
So the cash carry forward was more than what we had anticipated for the new budget.
Gotcha.
So are you in the fire department thinking in terms of beginning to see the property taxes? Is that what?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
What I call the real budget versus the paper budget
Okay.
of how much actual money is actually in the bank account.
Okay.
So I was just curious if we were on track here or if there was any problem.
We're not gonna know. This is the end of last year's budget. That's what this financial statement is.
Right.
So you'll have to wait.
Yeah, I was just curious if we were kind of like projected, if we were looking okay.
We're looking pretty good so far this
Okay.
month. The cash carry forward helped and kept us mostly out of the red for the bond payments that are due.
Yeah, that's where you were going with.
Yep.
Yeah. We're gonna be a little short before we receive any funds, but the other funds carry that.
That's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, it's not a huge deficit though. It has been in the past.
Okay, all in favor of accepting the financial statements as written?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. All right. Bank reconciliation board audit. Questions?
Was the Cable Houston bill for that conversation we had in executive session last time?
This is actually 3 invoices.
Okay.
They don't send us one always every month.
Okay.
That's what makes this hard to try to explain, you
Yeah.
know. So this isn't anything we spent. It's 3 invoices, like
Okay.
3.
So it's probably 3 to 6 months or something like that.
I think it's like 3. They're, like I said, they're not consistent on billing monthly, so you could have a couple of months in one invoice, you could have one in another, and
Yeah.
we'd have to get the invoices out for you guys to look at.
So did you indicate to me that this covered everything that was done with Bonnet?
Yeah, this has to do with personnel, also
Personnel.
has to do with the tort claim. And then
Okay.
there's some other smaller work they did, the easements for Avalon
No, yeah.
was in there, that work is in there also. So it's a mixture of stuff.
Okay,
So it
Yeah.
seems like a lot, but it covered a lot.
Yeah, so it's over several months.
Yeah.
It's not what we're spending.
That was the only question I had.
I'm sure it's a lot cheaper than what the fire department spends.
Yes, yes, quite a bit. That's why I didn't ask, because I was like, wow, that's cheap.
All right, if there's no other questions at this point, district report.
Okay, well, you can see the improvement plant's running well within its permit limit. Underground tech had just finished up, the point repairs and the relining for reasons, relining the manhole. They did do the 8 manholes, but there was some confusion on one of our pipe sizes. So they didn't bring the point repairs, so they only did 2 out of the 5.
Yes.
Yeah, so the point repairs put on Crab Avenue, and then for some reason, somehow there was a mistake made that our Bay Road line is 12-inch, not 8-inch. So some was probably on the district side and some fault was on the contractor side. So they're gonna deduct that off the 45,000 that you approved.
Okay.
So,
Do we need to get that fixed next year, or are they gonna?
yeah, we'll just go at it
Roll it
once a
next
year like that, yeah. Yeah. Bay Road, I didn't really want included because that's gonna require a county permit to work on the roadway. Requires us having to hire flaggers because that's like a main arterial. It's not like a side road like Crab, you can scoot off to the side or something like that. So we have the state highway ODOT, if we work in there or along some of those main roads that are county roads, we have to get flagging and get permits to do that work.
John and I could do the flagging if it'll save us money. Stand there and stop traffic.
Yeah,
I assume you have credentials, but
I can type something up.
I could probably do it almost as well as some of those folks on 6.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
What I mean.
I do know what you mean.
okay, so the Oceanside Hotel project, both of those, I've had no contact, no movement, no anything. But as far as West Tech goes, they said to budget $14,000 for that pump station review to upsize it from 10 horse to 15 horse pumps. That'll include electrical work, all that. We can certainly approve that estimate, which I have on my desk, that West Tech sent me yesterday. The problem is that I don't want to move forward on it till we know that the hotels are moving forward. Because there's no reason to go do all that to look and see if the electrical line is the right size, it feeds it. There's just a lot that goes with it. And without them moving, that's $14,000 that we're assuming so far that you only have to upsize the pumps from 10 to 15 horse.
So that's not planning, that's the physical amount.
So that has to do with West Tech's portion, and then the electrical engineers portion. Because they're the ones that have to rate the size of the wires, cables, the control panel. But without a definite, see, we're still missing flow information for the project down by the cabins. We have an estimate and the fixtures for House on the Hill, but not down below. And if we start down there, we may have to go back and redo parts of it if it requires, a 20 horse pump or some other type of variable horsepower pump like a conservative pump. I just don't see doing that work twice. And it would be reimbursable, at least part of it will be reimbursable from the projects. But at this point,
But if we did it twice, that wouldn't be reimbursable.
no.
Yeah,
So the reason it's not in my report,
Yeah.
asking the board to approve that, I personally am not ready to approve that.
yeah.
So,
On the house in the hill property, do they have a finished architectural drawing and specs?
no, their engineer sent us the specs on the fixtures. So yes and no, I think they have a plan of what they want to do, a draft.
Yeah, they have a conceptual,
They
the
have a
ones we saw were
conceptual,
conceptual, but they haven't even gotten close to brick and mortar yet, as
Yeah.
far as like engineer.
They have no
I don't think
permits
they've
yet. I mean,
completed,
they haven't even got permits.
yeah,
on
they
it.
haven't even completed geo
Yeah.
and,
But their engineers trying to keep us informed of what they're looking at. It could change too, depending on what the county will allow them to build up there. So even the fixtures they gave us their map change. So I think it would be premature for us to turn the engineers loose now.
Yeah.
And then probably have to go do this again in a few months.
I agree.
I noticed that there was a
Supposedly,
new trust sign on the property, which suggests to me that the deal is,
May have fallen out of escrow or.
well,
Up on house on the hill.
yeah,
That sign's been up there a long time.
no, it's a different one.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, it's as if, well, they have something intended but not completed.
Mhm.
It's just, I don't know how these things work, but
Right.
It's in escrow, but it is definitely not closed.
Yeah.
So.
I just don't have enough information, I
Yeah.
think, that
Well-
would allow this district to authorize our engineers to move forward.
because supposedly they were gonna do a restaurant in there.
Yes.
So
well, the
And
restaurant,
that
restaurant
changes
was,
the whole thing in my book.
well, the restaurant was only for guests.
Well, that's,
Well, it
I
started
know,
out,
that's what they say.
it started out as a public restaurant, but they couldn't get parking. They
Right,
didn't
Yeah.
have enough land for parking. I was in those meetings with
Yeah.
Kenny and them. So like I said, even theirs is still kind of evolving. So I think we need to wait till we get information from them asking if we have capacity.
but I do know that there are citizens in Oceanside that have contacted the county to say, well, if we walk to it, they don't need parking, so could they have restaurants for locals and guests as opposed to, and I don't know what the status of those discussions.
That's what I mean. It's still evolving
Yeah,
and it could probably get to a couple more versions.
yeah,
But once their architects or their engineers send us what the loading data that they
Yeah.
predict will be coming from that, then we will have enough information to move forward. And then we'll have an agreement with them. We'll
and by
go through
then,
those steps. So,
maybe we'll know something about the bottom of the hill.
Yeah.
Maybe.
well, it would be, again, if that project stops, it comes back alive, we'll have to do this again.
Yeah,
I think all of our terms will be up and Dan will be with the new board by the time all this happens.
Our dance term will be up. But anyway, I'm just not ready.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of construction here. I'm just not ready
Yeah.
to move forward expending funds that we may not get reimbursed. And then it's just something we put on the shelf.
I wouldn't vote to approve it.
So, good, because I'm not gonna.
If they do open it up to the public as a restaurant, I don't know, I thought they threw out one number that, compared to comparable hotels, $900 to $1,000 a night.
Yeah,
It's gonna be more like an
Was-
Airbnb kind of like duplex, not duplexes, but like townhouses, but
Yeah,
a hotel kind of lays.
so, I mean, if the restaurant is consistent with what they're gonna be charging per night, it ain't gonna be cheap.
right.
I was gonna have a side salad and some water, just to go check it out. So that's my plan.
Okay, so number 2, pump stations. The generator for the Ocean Highlands pump station there's no change. The ship date is still November 13th. And I just checked on that, so that's still the date they're holding. I don't know what we want to do. I have not heard back from Walker on the clearing of that easement. So he hasn't, I mean, he's answering my calls, but he's so busy, he's just, I guess, having a hard time getting out here. So he said he would call me. The last time I talked to him, he said, I will call you when I have a date that we can meet down there. So otherwise I took that as stop calling me. I will come down.
There's another guy and the sheriff deputy, I can't remember his name. He's retiring soon. He started a Billy. He does the wilderness stuff up on 6.
I know who he is. I can't remember his last name though.
But he's a pretty good tree guy. He started when I love Dave Walker. He's done all of our trees, but he is so busy. It takes forever to get anything done, but I can see if we need another.
Is this something the board wants to pursue? I know we had one board member last month that didn't.
As I remember, Jerry wants to put it on PUD, which I don't know.
I don't think PUD's done what they're gonna do.
You know,
That's right. PUD's already said that they will not come clear the.
Yeah.
Well, didn't we determine that it's a risk?
yes, I think we have.
So I say get it done. I mean, there's more than 2 or 3. You know, the people that do our landscaping here,
North Coast.
have we asked them?
Yeah, they
number
submitted
was
an
really high.
estimate. That was the
That was
15,000.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think that. I've talked to him several times. I don't think he'll hold that estimate. But I think I can get it down a couple $1,000 or more.
I mean,
It is a pretty steep area. They're gonna have, whoever does it's
Yeah.
gonna have to cut a path to get to the easement portion, because the easement runs side hill.
Legally, is this in a range where we need competitive bid?
Anything over 10,000.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Now, right now, I've already contacted others, which I just have a form that I get from the auditor. I have to fill out that I've made the contacts. And I've gotten, because it happens, you don't always get
Yeah.
more bids in or more estimates.
Is it worth pursuing this other person?
Probably not. I mean, I think if North Coast will do it, and they're already doing our grounds, right? So.
yeah,
And they'll do other easements for us. We have other easements that we're gonna have to clear when we have.
If they're being responsive, then I think.
I can certainly talk to North Coast again, but I do want them to modify that amount.
so have they submitted a bid in writing?
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
looked
Yeah,
at it
yeah,
last
yeah,
month.
you got that.
Yeah.
2 or
Right.
3 months ago.
We had that. So do we just need to go back and hit them one more time to say, the board's just concerned and can you,
I've done that, so, you could authorize a not to exceed.
Hmm.
Okay, so he turned in an estimate of 15,500, I believe. I don't have it in front of me. We can make a counter offer back, not that he could do it, but not to exceed.
And Mr. Chair, just for edification of the board, if there is tree removal and they're using chainsaws, ODF has put some really strict regulations in place as far as what time of day you can run chainsaws and things like that because of sparks and concerns about fires. So I just want, we may be delayed, or it may take them longer because they have to actually have a fire crew on standby for a few hours after. So I'm not saying we should wait. I'm just letting you know that it's a thing, and
yeah, well,
some tree places may be holding off.
What's the fire danger rating right now?
Moderate to high. So
Well, this is a dangerous time to take it off.
Maybe we should wait.
So,
Let's see if we can get them down and then wait until the first rains hit. Because if it's a risk of fire,
yeah,
and we start the fire.
and
by
we start,
trying to
yeah,
Do something to
so,
stop the fire.
I'm sure
Right.
they're bonded, but somebody still, I mean, it's like, they're still gonna come after us next, I assume. They'll be like,
Yeah,
we'll get the North Coast insurance money and then we'll go after the district's insurance money, so.
Yeah.
The burn ban will probably run through mid-September is my assumption, so.
it's something that should be done somewhere close to, fall when humidity and then temperatures drop and maybe we even get heavy dew at night or something like that, or even rains like Jim said. We just don't want it during a storm because then they won't be able to get up the hill. So.
Yeah.
Well, in the meantime, do we want to pursue a second estimate?
Yes.
If you can
I'll,
give me a
I'll
name.
work on that info, get you the name.
And I'll get some more information out of West Coast, like what your bonding, what your insurance. Did you plan for fire watch? Because do the conditions. Remember, when he gave that to us, so we weren't in those
Right.
fire conditions.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of the tree removal and timber guys know about it. But some of the landscaping guys, if they don't do tree removal, they might not know about it. So I just wanted to throw it out there.
And I've never really looked at it. I don't know even really what we're talking about here.
Well, the main pump station down below.
Yeah,
So if you're driving here, or you could even pull over and look, you will see where all the brush was cut, the trees were cut. Just follow the power line behind the pump station up the hill, up to the top where it goes up to Castle.
Instead of hauling trees up, are they able to roll stuff or bring stuff down to the?
What I've
down
been
to the-
told by everybody I've talked to, you always bring it downhill.
Well,
one,
I
there's
didn't
not
know
enough-
if they could access it.
Yeah, we can get them into the property, but like I said, there's a lot of overgrown berry vines,
Yeah.
berry bushes and shrub. They're gonna have to cut an access to get people in.
I just didn't know if that was one reason they had jacked up the cost, if we were having to winch stuff up.
It's all have to be winched down.
Okay.
Somebody's gonna be dragging rope up there or something, or cable, and they're gonna be winching it all down.
there are actual trees or is it?
There's actual large tree chunks, there's some brush, but, which can be brought down by hand, but there's some stuff that's just too big, it'll have to be winched down.
Okay,
And then it'll be dealt with on flat ground where it's safer.
all right.
Well, maybe that price makes sense.
So the plan will be to get another bid or two,
Try to, yeah.
try to, and then wait for the project to take place after we get some rain.
Would probably be the safest thing, because we don't want to be the one that creates the fire by our contract.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and we can,
And so-
the fire
yeah.
chief here for fire warnings and dangers.
So that next month's minutes will reflect that we had this discussion.
Yes.
And that, so for liability reasons, we're concerned, but we're gonna wait.
Okay, and just for your information, this was brought up at the annual HOA meeting of Heresy. Sue, who used to be on the board here, brought it up as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
And, it seemed like the responsible thing to do would be to address the problem, so. Now, I haven't gone back to them because we don't have a contractor with a firm date as yet.
Right.
So I will do that once that happens, but it didn't make any sense to say, yeah, we're looking at it. We just haven't done an action. So, sir,
Okay, next page, item 3, there's the treatment plant's running great. Number 4, capital improvement projects. As you know, we're just completing the manual transfer switch project, which started out as Oceanside, but both Oceanside and Netarts are complete. Some of you have already seen the new generator. It's not ready to go. They still got to bring the manufacturer out. They've got to start it up and all that. It's just sitting out there.
Nice looking machine.
Yeah. So
have you both seen it or?
I haven't seen it.
I've not seen it.
Where is it?
it's in the back shop. Next time you come up,
Okay.
you can just walk in from your shop over there.
Okay,
It's a good sized machine.
nice.
I hope so.
So
Pricey piece of,
Man, I tell you.
the contractor turned in a progress payment. I had to reject his and send it back, and the engineer concurred with me. There's still about 6 punch items left on there. They were only leaving $3,000 for that. We had them go back and look at it. Now there's 17,000 left after we approve this. This does take care of the generator, which is a large chunk of this, and then all the equipment is in place. And we did get signed off on the permits, so everything is up and signed off and operational.
So they just need to plug it in.
Just need to plug it in and train us how to plug it in and that type of stuff. So there's some, right now, if it happened, we couldn't go down there and use it because it's not ready to go.
So when will that happen?
They're telling me 2 to 3 weeks to get the manufacturer scheduled. So it's down to about 2 weeks now.
Oh, it's not
Yeah.
like 6 months.
No, they're gonna want it. They're gonna want the rest of their money before. So
Well,
I'm assuming
That's not that much
Before the
extra.
before the next board meeting, I'm sure that it'll all be complete. And it has to be tested, make sure everything works.
And you need a motion, Dan, for that?
Yeah, so I need a motion to do the progress payment of $206,521.95.
I'll make the first motion.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. It's approved.
Next, West Tech has started on the pre-design report, but they haven't moved very quickly on it due to these other projects we're trying to get done. So I do have information, so they still need to turn in to us a pre-designed submittal so you can approve them to move forward. The first step will be a pre-design, go to DEQ. Once DEQ reviews it, they'll give a letter of what, if any changes, and that'll come back to the board for final approval before we can start on that.
So when does the county get involved?
Well, the county will, after we have a final design,
Okay,
when there's it's called a 95%, nothing's 100% till you actually get the permits. So, the county will be involved after we get the information back from DEQ, what they're gonna require for the pump station.
okay, so the pre-design report goes to DEQ. DEQ says, okay, or
Right.
okay with modifications. And then once that's done, then
Once
it
they're
goes,
incorporated, any modifications are
Yeah.
incorporated, it goes to final design, which the board approves these steps as we go. And
okay,
then after that, then the engineers will submit everything to the county for permits.
okay,
And so these designs include any fill or whatever we have to
Yeah,
modify
yeah,
the site to.
Yeah, so in your pre-design, you have your pre-design submittal to DEQ isn't the same thing as your design, what you're going to actually have to need for fill or stuff like that. This has to do with equipment, placing and requirements.
Okay.
That's step one. That step usually takes 45 to 60 days for a turnaround from DEQ.
Okay.
So you're not looking at breaking any ground this summer.
No.
And usually these projects take about a year before you get them to bid. So about this time, hopefully I'm kind of shooting from the hip here about April, May. We will be able to authorize the engineers to go out to bid on it.
And do you need any motion on that, Dan, or no?
No, I'm just giving the board an update
Nope,
because
that's fine.
this has been on my district report. I just want to show there is movement and it's not just, only I got the information after I wrote the district report. So there is movement. You will see the next thing I bring to you will be an approval for
Okay.
West Tech to do the pre-design to go to DEQ. And then you'll get that report back.
And you don't have any idea how much that will be, the pre-design?
I figure the pre-design is going to be somewhere around 15 to 20,000. But you're not going to know if it's going to until you get comments back from DEQ. And then, of course, you won't know the total until you get the permits requirements from the county.
but
This project will, if you want me to give you my dart at the board with it, we'll spend about 1 to 1.1 million
Mhm.
before this pump station project's done.
But that's gonna come out of our SDC account.
Mhm.
Okay.
And also, SDC would cover, would also cover the pump station upgrade to increase capacity there for Oceanside if needed. So it's nothing that you're gonna put in your regular budget.
Yeah.
So right now, there should be enough money in there, but we're getting SDCs
All the time.
quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And we'll get more once this pump station's done.
Yeah, well, yeah, you'll get quite a few more.
Yep.
Pump stations.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about for almost a year now about the Ocean Highlands Pump Station Control Panel.
Yeah.
It's taken me a little while to get all the information from Xylem, but basically this is the Xylem, 44,966.92 is for the control panel. And then Cherry City Electric would be the electrical company that would install the panel.
Dan, I'm not being sarcastic at all, but was that the same company that we had issues with, the same electrical company that we had issues with the other day?
No,
Okay,
this is a completely.
okay, just sounds like
This
we
is the
probably
same company that did
totally okay.
the panel installation at Netarts.
It just kind of sounded like they may have put a little bit of the screw chisel to us last time, the group that was down there when we ran into problems and then they didn't want to correct it.
At Netarts,
Yeah.
on the manual transfer switch stuff.
Was that because the failure was with the electrician, correct? And the county
Well,
inspector.
the first failure that cost us some money for a change order was when they sent in for the change to add the 400 amp panel. The manufacturer quoted them back for a 200 amp panel, but they didn't catch it,
Yeah,
which a 200 amp panel isn't gonna work. It'll work at Oceanside, but it won't work down there. So it was a straight through cost. They didn't mark it up like they normally would do. So they corrected that. But this other,
I was thinking about during the shutdown, during the install and stuff, when we had to put when it was.
no, I met with the inspector required that I be there. And he did admit that he probably overreacted and turned that into a cluster that he didn't
Okay,
need to. But we didn't get any increased costs from the electrical contractor at all
Okay.
on that.
I make a motion on item 5 to approve the 44,966.92 to Xylem and the 3,745 to Cherry City Electric.
I second that.
And this panel will probably take 4 or 5 months to build. So.
Okay.
And the only other cost we would have is whatever we have to have, if we have to have a pumper truck standing by.
So will this probably end up going in at about the same time that the new diesel generator arrives,
Well,
or timing wise?
we probably won't try to do them both at once.
Okay,
I still need to meet with the electrical contractor on this to see if we can hook our portable generator up.
Yeah.
And run the pumps and stuff. So we don't need there's no room for a pumper truck down there, as you probably, if you've ever driven by the Ocean Highlands development there. So I'm still trying to coordinate with them to see if we can run that pump station with our new generator. So.
okay. All right,
Ocean Highlands is that highest black star, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I should drive back there sometime.
okay, just
You drive right up there, you can see it.
even, you got that first row of homes
Yeah.
right there
I
on
just never
131
drove,
almost.
just never driven back
Then,
up.
yeah, you go down in the hollow and then up the hill and on the right-hand side, before you get really to homes, is our pump station.
Take your compass with you. You ever got lost in a cul-de-sac?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Not that big.
That one's got a
But
lot
you
of side
can't.
spurs.
What's that?
That one's got a lot of side spurs on it.
Do you guys know how to get to where you need to go?
I just keep telling them, take a left, take a left, take a left. Eventually you get turned around. We've got maps of it,
Yeah,
GPS.
because they all look the same.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
It gets more confusing once you go past the pump station.
Oh, yeah.
go Past the first left. Once you get around that turn, that's when they're all kind of snaked out there.
And they've got
That's
dead
the
ends.
Houses are above our
And they've
station.
got dead ends. Anyway, whatever.
See, but you have a simple problem. You just look for smoke or fire.
exactly. People waving their arms and bouncing around.
Pointing.
Okay, on item.
I don't think we didn't vote on your motion or on the motion.
Sorry. Approved. Yes, I need dog. Okay,
Okay, so that's the approval of the Ocean Highlands pump control panel and also the maintenance work for installation. Is that what?
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye. It's approved.
okay, I can move on to the next.
Keep us
Okay.
straight.
So, office equipment purchase. What you see here from Center Logic is, the total cost of this $8,783. $4,400 of that is replacing the, UPS battery backups, which everything in here has a battery backup. Our generators fire up every Wednesday. When it switches power, it can shut stuff down, and which hard shutdown when the computers are hard on them.
Yep.
So this unit's actually 5 years past its useful life. So,
My only question, Dan, is have they, and I don't know this, again, not being sarcastic, we're having a lot of issues with lithium batteries and thermal runaways and fires with lithium batteries. Have they transitioned to lithium in the UPSs, or are they still using?
no, they're still dry cell.
Okay,
Yeah, they're not lithium.
perfect. Then I have no concerns.
Yeah, I just changed the batteries out in this backup.
No,
for
it's
the-
perfect.
Yeah, it's not.
The lithium is gonna be the end of all of this, but
Now, this brand new one, I guess that's probably a question I could ask them. I never thought to ask them that.
if it's gonna be in,
It's a new trip light, so.
yeah, it's not that I don't trust the companies. It's like, we're having problems with great companies. We're having problems with crappy companies. We're just having problems. So,
Well, a friend of mine in Medford, his rental house just almost burnt to the ground because the guy had one of those hoverboards.
Yep.
With a lithium battery.
The what?
He was, like a little, I call it a hoverboard, but it's
Oh,
actually one that you.
the one wheel,
Yeah,
Yep.
Kind of a skateboard.
and it actually, he had it on the charger in his house. The guy went to work and he came back, he had it on the carpet and it actually shorted out. It burned all the way to the ground. I mean, it burned through the house, through the floor
Yeah.
joists.
the lithium thermal runaways are impressive.
Yeah.
3,000 degrees,
Yeah.
like.
Oh, it was,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
they had
And you
to
can't put them
completely
out.
got his house and rebuild it, yeah.
There's just no way to stop it.
Whoa.
So,
So this quote that you see for Center Logic, this includes a new computer for the lab. That's the last of our oldest computers.
That's the
And-
997.
Yeah, 997, which is about average what we pay for the rest of them. And so those are the two large items, the rest is support and labor.
What's the three-way switch? 48 points, ports, 1,125.
Okay, so the switch, we have a 48 connection port on the wall.
Yeah.
So it has up to 48.
Yeah,
We use over half of those. The switch that he's talking about is inside of the server cabinet. And that one's only 24 maxed out when doubling up on it.
Okay.
So that has to be upgraded to match the changes we've made over the years.
looks like something we need. Do we need
It
a
is,
motion,
yeah.
motion to do this?
yes.
I will move that we approve this Center Logic upgrades for 8,783.33.
I'll second.
So, are we sort of making that subject to just your checking to see if this is the newer lithium battery system or whether it's the older?
I
Said
could certainly
You
ask
mentioned that
them,
you
yeah.
asked,
It's a replacement trip light's all I know for what's already in there. But I didn't even think about asking which
It's just, I'm
batteries are in it.
becoming more and more paranoid
yeah,
because I've seen so many thermal runaways.
understandably.
So
I can certainly ask, yeah.
Okay.
might be worth.
Mhm.
Okay, so all in favor, say aye.
And did we do that conditional on checking? Or did we just approve it? I think we just approved
I
it.
think we just approved it,
Yeah.
but we want to know what the equipment is.
I trust Dan. He'll
So if it's lithium, then I need to send them back to the drawing board and,
ask him
I
if
can
they
just-
have something different, but I
yeah,
mean,
well, I can certainly do that.
certainly
Or
your
what
discretion.
protections.
My spending limit is $10,000. I just want the board to know we're upgrading
Yeah.
equipment. I want you guys,
Yeah.
you know,
Yep.
you're
I
the
just
budget
want-
committee
yeah.
also.
I just want to make the board aware we're having thermal runaway problems.
Yeah.
So I will do that. I will check with them. to see if
Well, and
there's
ask them the
lithium.
question, and then if they say yes, you can ask them what kind of protections. Are there any protections against the thermal runaway in the equipment they're providing?
There was one more thing, but there isn't. Okay, 7, of course, is fill the open office manager position. We've had roughly 2 to 4 applications for the open operator position. Not one of them even comes close to meeting the minimum requirement that's on there. So, I will have to go back to advertise. I might change it. I need to talk to the guys.
Wait a minute, you're talking about the operator position?
Yeah.
Okay,
So the operator position, I might change it next. I'll talk with Brian first, but we'll have to decide if we want to change that requirement down to a trainee. We should know something from preferred worker program.
sorry.
We should know something about that training that could come on from a preferred worker program. We should know that by sometime in August. So, but right now, if I have to, if I have to go to training, I prefer it be a preferred worker and paid for it. If not, I want to require a certified operator to come on board. So, and there's not many of them out there, so this could take a while.
This is just a question for long-term. Do they have any vocational programs like at the high school or TVCC where we could recruit somebody to go through a training program and come to work?
The college was starting something a couple of years ago, but I don't think it ever took off. If they were
No.
trying to do water, wastewater, but I don't ever think it ever took.
No, that program never took.
Seems like it'd be a good way for somebody to, it's kind of like all the blue collar jobs. It's getting harder to find people that.
When I was called by the college, we told them we were certainly interested to help them out if they needed, a place to help the class train or whatever, to get more people in the
Yeah.
field. But I don't think they received enough interest to actually start up the program, is kind of my understanding.
There is, though, a technical training thing.
There is, the only one that I actually know about at the college is more for the mill
Right.
rigs. They do a lot of electrical, like LELs, welding, stuff like that.
So what I would recommend is that you get a hold of whoever works up the curriculum and deals with that program and just let them know if somebody walks in the door, they don't want to take the class, but they're interested in learning how to do something.
Yeah. Well, I had one, person that called and their resume shows that they, are basically, they're a surveyor. But he does wanna work the shifts that he works surveying, so. Which tells me he probably has the capability of learning this job, is my thought on that. So if we change it and lower it down to certified operators preferred, but we would look at possible trainees as well. And he's fairly local. So,
Yeah, that's been the hard part, is finding people with housing and all that. The usual thing.
Is
I'd
there,
love to take the job, but I can't get a house here.
is there a program in Oregon somewhere? A trainee, a wastewater trainee?
well, no, there isn't, well, your college, Lynn Benton,
Okay,
Clackamas used to have, classes for sewer, training sewer operators, teaching them. Lynn Benton is the only one I know right now that is still active in doing it. But most of those guys come out looking for management type jobs. They're looking for the larger cities and management.
Hmm.
At least I think that's what they would want after 4 years of doing it, so.
So it's a 4-year program, not a 2-year.
Well, you can do a 2 or a 4,
Okay.
but most of the ones I see turned down to Lynn Benton are usually 4-year degree.
Yeah.
About 10, 15 years ago, you could get the 2-year associate's degree ones, and they seemed to be almost flooding the market, but we had a large retirement. When they changed PERS and everybody decided to bail,
Yeah.
you know, left a lot of voids everywhere. So these guys all get recruitment letters from other cities and districts all the time to go somewhere else.
Thanks for saying.
So,
Okay.
but anyway, so I'll just get a board update. I'll like I said, I'll meet with Brian and Brian, we'll discuss. Want to take on a trainee, but it's so close now.
is it possible to contact Lynn Benton and say, if you've got any associate graduates who are looking for a job, we have an opening?
When we advertise at special districts and we advertise at OAWU, that stuff all goes to Lynn Benton.
Okay.
10 years ago, I would already had a stack of 50 on my desk by
Yeah.
now. So. And lastly, I did update the operations summary to include some of the projects that we have completed or near completion on. So.
Dan, how did 4th of July go? Was our usage normal for that time of year, or super high or super low?
I think we were low this time. We still got up there okay, but not what we'd expected.
Yeah. Weirdly quiet here.
We've had a lot of people. Last weekend I did duty and looked like an ant farm going across the beach,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
our flows have been, well, since I've been here, record lows.
I looked at
For
the
this
flows
time, yeah.
last year and this year, and we're probably better than 20% lower than last year.
Yeah.
We actually had higher flows during COVID.
Yeah.
We have now.
That's because everyone was home.
Couldn't go pee in the ocean.
It was, almost like a record high during that time around here.
Yeah.
So anyway. That concludes my business report. We're have any questions?
Thank you.
All right.
Already touched on the Avalon thing.
So we're in old business. We've done Avalon. We've done the hotels pump upgrade.
Yep.
Office manager position, we will talk about in executive session. And then Springbrook cloud migration.
Okay, so as you probably guessed, the majority of everybody uses Springbrook around here. And there's just any place that Aaron's checked and I've looked into, they're all cloud-based now. And the problem with trying to find a cheaper one, you have to compare apples to apples. And you have to consider the staff has to learn an entire new system.
Didn't we discuss this last month?
Yeah,
A little bit, yes.
A little bit.
And we
Jerry
kinda-
suggested that we check around,
Yeah,
which we
look
did.
right.
Aaron got confirmation today from Netarts Water there on the cloud. That also, they can use that with their, radio, water meter reading.
Mhm.
And I believe with ours as well, and I had a Teams meeting with JC and Aaron with Springbrook. We did get the price down quite a bit. It's still expensive, but as of today is the last day that they will service the modules that we get. After today, it's not that it'll be unusable after today, but there'll be no more upgrades for it. They'll still support it, but no upgrades for it.
Yeah.
So with this, in my understanding, talking to them, it is the future. Even Center Logic is telling us that we're gonna have to go to cloud and stuff that they do for us as well. This won't eliminate our server. Okay, we'll still need the server because the server is also our phone system. It keeps all of our files and data other than just financials in it. But everything else will no longer go through that. One positive they kept pushing, and if we were in the middle of COVID, it might be really worth discussing, but well, when Erin was off work, she could have logged in anywhere with a laptop and could have worked from home.
What are the security implications?
It's actually more secure because you can't open. So currently we've had a problem once, opening an email and an attachment that was fake and Bonnie didn't realize what it was. And it got into our server. I don't think any of you were on the board then.
I was here.
And it crashed it and it cost us, I don't know what it was, $15,000 to fix.
Yeah.
That can't happen if it's on the cloud because there's no physical way that they can get from there into the cloud.
Is there, and I think to back up to me, what means, I've just been reading a lot about kind of hacking and then opening valves and doing stuff like that, but I'm sure they've addressed it, but
So with
it
us,
worries me.
this is Springbrook only. We have other firewalls and protections so that if they were to hack in, there's a server, or there's actually two servers for the treatment system and collections. So there are firewalls in each one of those that are set up, but that won't protect per se. This won't alleviate if something gets into the servers for the treatment plant. Now, the treatment plant is on its own away from the regular internet that we would use to open emails with. So there's no physical connection between the two.
But
So,
this is all our financial data.
yeah,
That would be, it's my own uneasiness with the cloud world that we're going to, and I know we're going to it, but if Aaron can log into it from home, a skilled hacker could probably get into it from anywhere.
we asked them those questions. And due to the verification you need,
Yeah,
they even
dual verification and
can
blah, blah,
see
blah.
what IP address your computer you're using. And they have to be registered with the cloud, is my understanding.
Okay,
So my question was, okay, what is the cloud? I mean, other than I know what goes around up the sky, what's cloud? Where's our stuff going?
yeah.
And most of your financial providers now also want you on the cloud and not on anything that's mechanical hardware.
Yeah, I know that that's the world
Yeah.
we're in.
Yeah.
And the cloud is usually several places and redundantly backed up is the answer.
Well, I still think the cloud is still think they're server based.
Yeah,
Because I believe he told us they had 8 backup.
Yeah.
Right, isn't that what he said? It was 8? Like
Yeah,
8?
there's a lot of the server farms getting built around
Yeah.
Portland.
Well,
So-
that way, if one of them gets infected, they just take it
Sucking up
offline.
power and water.
And they've got the same thing in 7 other locations.
All these utilities that you've seen in the news that have been hacked, water utilities and stuff, you know, been terrorized and stuff, they've all switched over to the cloud to get away from risk. So,
So it passes the Homeland Security test.
yeah.
That was good.
And it passes, you know, like, I think I'm loop in, and now I'm getting into their world here, so I'm through it a little bit. But it does give you that separation.
Mhm.
So you're not involving in the same server, your emails, your phones and all that. And I guess that's how they get in easily.
Yeah, most easily.
Yeah. So my understanding is, they're not guaranteed that the cloud's not hack proof, but it's about as big a guarantee as you're ever gonna get.
Everything can be hacked.
25 years.
And financial institutions, like we take credit cards, you know,
Oh, yeah.
Visa, Mastercard, they prefer that.
Yeah.
So how
over-
much
over-
are we talking?
I think last month it was over 30,000. So it's an initial setup. Initial setup of, I think it's 14,000. And then the fixed fee is now down from 19 to 10,000, 48% discount. So we're talking a total change over is $24,524.
And we have that budgeted in? Where would that come from?
It would come out of the budget. I mean, I could take it out of capital resource.
But it wasn't planned.
Yeah,
Is that
but
correct? I mean,
it wasn't discussed and planned, but I already planned for that stuff anyway. So
okay.
I already keep in mind $200,000 that we need for anything that comes up.
Contingency funds.
Yeah, I always keep that much in reserve. Like I said, in capital resource, I show you guys that. So,
But we just didn't know that they were gonna hit us up right at the beginning of the fiscal year.
which you can ask these two, I kind of chewed on them coming in at the 11th hour after we had finished budget,
Yeah,
you know? So,
Well, thank you for getting it down, what you did.
They did cut the initial from 20 to 10, and they did cut the other one from 18.9, I believe, to 14 something. So they did.
Sounds like
cut
used
it.
cars.
Yeah.
we got about roughly,
You know
was it
what I
about $6,000
What does it
instead
go?
of 16,000? Wasn't that cut down, or 18,000 down to 14,000 a year?
Yeah.
So they did give us, because we told them the board wasn't happy with what they sent us.
You could tell them that we're not happy again.
Yeah.
Well, good you go.
Needs the pay. I said, they're still not gonna be happy about it. Okay, because it's still a large increase. Now, there will be savings over time,
Yeah.
because we're not having to pay for the modules every few years, which is usually
Yeah.
every 3 to 5 years, it's another 25 grand on top of the 8,000 we spend every
So
8,500 we spend.
I'm assuming that we could talk about this for,
Yeah, I've spent 2 hours on the
a
phone.
long time,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's like another thing that comes to my mind is just our physical wear, whatever you call it,
Mhm.
the computers,
Mhm.
we're gonna have to change them out again
The
because,
server will eventually.
No. This has nothing to do with our workstations or nothing.
okay,
So no, we don't have to upgrade the computer to something else to work with this cloud. Basically,
but you understand what I'm
yeah,
saying
you
now.
could log on with a laptop. I mean, you just have to have the credentials to do it.
And because all of our other systems, our credit card system, all that, those are all through Springbrook as well, so we don't have to
Yeah.
change anything.
Well,
Yeah.
that's where I'm going,
Yeah.
that's where I was going.
When
My
we
next
asked them-
comment is that we have spent all this time and energy getting trained on Springbrook as well as using it.
And I've sat down with Aaron and JC, and that's the scariest part. Even if we could find something cheaper, what is it gonna take to relearn a brand new system?
That's where I'm,
And it seems to be pretty popular in this area using Springbrook. The city of Tillamook uses Springbrook, and they've been on the cloud for years. You know, it probably has its negatives, but it probably has more positives, and security is the biggest sell for me on it, is the cybersecurity that you get.
well,
And
so,
so one thing, a positive that I liked is that customers won't be able to call and give their credit card number to Aaron or JC or anything anymore. They'll have to log on to our website, and they'll have to enter their own information. So we will never touch their personal information. Okay, that's another added security, that their information isn't being typed or somebody hacks our computer and gets their information. So that's a positive thing, and that's probably why the financial institutions are pushing it as well, for security reasons. And we have to go through a security check annually anyway with Bluefin, I think.
So do we need to authorize this?
Oh, yeah. I'm not taking blame. for this.
Go ahead.
So anyway, the grand total, and we just got this today. So the grand total is 24,524 to change to Springbrook Cloud.
So moved.
Second. I hear a second.
I'll second it.
Right.
And who do you want to authorize to sign this for Netarts-Oceanside Cemetery? Could be a board member, it could be me, it's whatever you guys authorize.
I'm okay with you doing it, Dan.
Yeah, I am too. So
Agreed.
all in favor of approving the Springbrook Cloud migration with Dan to sign for it, say aye.
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 My comment was that Jerry's not here. He would be the appropriate board member.
I just like to advise the board, always at the end of those, put a not to exceed.
Yeah.
Okay, that gives me a lot of leverage with these companies when they say the board authorized it to the penny right here, so it's not to exceed.
Yeah, whatever that 24,524 you quoted was.
She took.
What,
I did
what,
take-
what you said, Dan?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's just good practice for the board to,
Yeah.
to always do that.
All right, new business. Hearing none, correspondence. We talked about best practices last month, but I'll
But you didn't have the info yet.
refer you to the third page here of what Aaron has handed out, that we don't have a public meeting policy. So it's something we could develop in the checklist, and then we get 2% credit on our insurance. So it's something we can just work on.
We can get a
And there's a
draft.
model.
I think we can get a draft from SJO as well.
So,
So that would be something that we would approve in one of our board meetings, certainly before November when it's due. So over the next month or two, we'll take a look at that.
And I'll still let you know.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if there's a training
Yeah,
we can participate in and get credit for, then
Yeah.
I'm willing.
And Aaron and I already started, so we already have some of these percentages already taken care of.
Yeah, but if you need a board member to,
Well, we have to, we can't, we used to be able to do it.
I'm willing to go through some of this stuff.
And one of these,
I believe it's all board
it
members now.
requires every
They-
single
okay.
one
They
of the
changed
board
it where every
members.
board member is going to.
I did some,
well, that's this
Public
public
meeting.
meeting training online.
Yes.
Yeah.
You'll be able to, if you do it for us,
So-
you'll be able to use that for credit for the.
Okay.
But I'll email you the link
Okay.
and
Okay,
the step-by-step instructions like I did last year.
all right. Any questions on that?
no,
Is it okay if I pay some $20 to do mine?
some of us are old students and like to do these things.
Need your driver's license and debit card.
So, and you will note that we had a letter
Yeah, I saw it.
from Paul Newman that,
Me too, Paul, me too.
yeah. I mean, I don't know what to say. I don't know that any response is necessary or expected.
I'm not sure he's asking for a response, and maybe he's just making a statement of dissatisfaction, but.
Okay, so the only one we got, then we're not doing badly.
We're not exempt for higher fuel prices and higher energy costs
Correct.
either.
I was gonna send one, but I'm here once a month, so I figured that just. air my grievances in person.
Okay,
Sorry.
with that said, I'd like to uh, suspend the board meeting at 6:40. And we'll go into executive session.
So Deb called you guys about, my partner, about a fire down below Terry Moore.